I was watching a video. They showed prize picks on there. I'm like, okay, let's check this out. And I joined the Discord. Kind of made a name for myself. I was community manager in there. So I was like higher up staff. I was like the highest up in the Discord you could be.
What advice do you have for the common bettor?
The problem you need to actually realize is there was this main person I used to bet on all the time. His name was Joel. He would always go over his line, like soar over his line. The next game, he got banned mid-game for cheating.
Did Emilio just get back banned?
And it's like these things I'm betting on big. Someone gets banned like that. It's insane.
What's up, y'all? I am here on the DubClub CEO Corner with Skylar, the CEO of StatsEdge, but also running the Krelix brand. Skylar, how are we doing?
Good. How are you?
Doing well. So you're out here for the Chiefs-Niners game, which happened yesterday.
Yeah.
And I heard from both you and your dad now that you guys were out in the sun for several hours. And, I'm just prefacing for the audience that watches this live.
Yes.
In case they notice the slight bit of red.
Yes, unfortunately, I guess it makes sense that the visitor side is right in the sun because they hate the visitors, and the home side, it's the shadiest part. But yes, got the sun. I should have prepped for that, but I didn't think about it.
That's all right. We all get a little bit of sun every once in a while. It's good to have you out from the Midwest to the Bay Area.
No, it's beautiful out here. The weather is perfect, and definitely a lot of different sites than Oklahoma. It's pretty bare out there. So
yeah. Well, it's interesting. So. Skylar, again, CEO of StatsEdge, which is a sports consulting business, is out here, obviously consuming sports, going to the Niners-Chiefs game, but did a fun, interesting West Coast, Silicon Valley type activity today. It sounded like you rode in a driverless vehicle. Is that right?
Yes. That was definitely interesting. I mean, you see him driving around, and me and my dad were kind of scared, like we were walking, on the crosswalk and afraid it was going to run into us. And I don't know, I was like, let's just try it out. So I had to take videos of it driving with nobody in it. So it was definitely fun, definitely futuristic. I mean, we don't have anything like that out there.
Yeah, I think so. The company that Skylar is referring to is called Waymo. Mm-hmm. And I think Waymo operates in very few cities, one of which is San Francisco, and they can't drive on the freeway. So if they're confined to the boundaries, essentially, of San Francisco proper,
Gotcha.
Which is kind of funny. You'll see every probably 15 minutes a Waymo come by our office. It's like a pickup spot for some reason.
Yeah.
I'm glad that you were able to experience it.
Yes.
That's a big plus. I still haven't rode in one because I'm a little scared.
Yeah, no, I mean, it was great. It was a great ride, and it was also like, it was cut in front of people. It wasn't
being
slow.
aggressive.
Yes.
Could you change the settings of?
You can in the phone. Change the music too. You can tell it to let you out right there. Very, very high tech. So it was pretty cool.
Yeah, pretty neat. I was joking with my girlfriend the other day when we were driving past the Waymo about the differences between Waymo and Uber or Lyft. And for whatever reason, I've had a really bad experience every time I get in a Lyft. It just kind of like, or an Uber, it smells like that person has been in the car for like 72 straight hours.
Yeah, I've experienced that already. Like they literally said they drive down from Sacramento and stay here for several days and just live in their car. So
and they don't roll down the windows.
Well, luckily this guy did, but yes, I ran into the exact same thing.
Yeah, what I was thinking about, like, all right, what would be a good pitch for Waymo versus Uber? It's like, well, you get in a Waymo, you don't have to deal with other people's stink. You just deal with your own.
Yes, that is true.
Anyways, this podcast is not about Waymo, but it is kind of fun to think about the trip that you're taking out here, and a lot of it was for fun. But we're doing business activities now. You've been partnered with DubClub for, over a year and a half. Actually, I think we're going on 2 years.
I think it's probably close to maybe
even more than that, right? Yeah, but the interesting thing is you've evolved your business over time,
for sure.
And it's remarkable just to kind of see like how far you've come in such a short period of time. Why don't you take us back to the origin of Krelix, which is your original page where you primarily focused on esports, and even your avatars,
changed, yes.
Yeah, exactly. So why don't you go back to the origin of Krelix and how Skylar as the business owner kind of got started?
For sure, yeah. I mean, to take you all the way back, I remember I was watching I was watching a video. They showed prize picks on there. I'm like, okay, let's check this out. And I joined the Discord. I saw there was different sports in there too. There was esports. Kind of started messing around the Discord. Kind of made a name for myself. And
this is in the Prize Picks Discord?
Yeah, in the Prize Picks Discord, yes. Okay. And then from there, I kind of made a Twitter myself. We had a group of people who were trying to make their own Twitters and grow them in the Discord. And I just started posting my plays in there, kind of using everybody in the Prize Picks Discord to grow my brand.
Yeah.
And actually, from the Prize Picks Discord, I was like a community manager in there. So I was like higher up staff. Like I was like, well, I wasn't working for Prize Picks, but I was like the highest up in the Discord you could be. So
interesting.
People like looked at me, respected me, I guess, in that way.
Yeah.
And I was able to drive a good amount of people over to it. And just started posting my own plays, posting esports predominantly. Just a big esports fan. Definitely a niche not a lot of people are into, especially with getting into stats and stuff like that. And from there, just posting NFL stuff, other sports. And I mean, it's kind of taken me to where I am today with, building StatsEdge and seeing over time what people need, because there are a lot of, I guess, holes in the data and stats, and people don't know where to get stuff. It takes a long time to research things. So why don't we just compile everything to one and provide it to people? So that's kind of what I've planned on doing from now.
That's an awesome story, and one that I actually don't know if I fully appreciated how grassroots this whole business was when it got started. You started in the Prize Picks Discord, which was a whole nother ecosystem, and you provided your information, your advice, we call it plays. You gave plays out to people like, what am I betting on? And that kind of just snowballed into what is now, how many, you have 35, 40,000 followers, or maybe more than that? 42,000 followers on Twitter, and you've had over 1,000 people subscribe to your DubClub over time. It's like, you clearly have built a really good brand. It's crazy to think that it started, with you posting plays in the Prize Picks Discord.
For sure. No, it's crazy. I mean, the people I've met along the way too, and just, starting from nothing and definitely building a brand alongside other people, it's been crazy. I mean, it's something I do appreciate because, before I was, like sports cards were huge. So I was like selling sports cards, and then we kind of got into betting, and then honestly don't know what I'd be doing now without betting. So I'm glad this is here.
Yeah. I think it's really cool to think about some of the things you mentioned over the course of the short story of how you got Krelix going, because you mentioned that you identified and built upon user need and recognized this gap in the data that's being provided. Let's maybe rewind first into your approach and how you were doing research to give out your plays, because that's a core part of the workflow for someone that's betting regularly and actually trying to make money from it, not just doing it for fun or doing it as a means of, distracting themselves. But talk us through your process. How did you actually start to hone in on what to bet on? And why did you have such a unique perspective that allowed you to differentiate yourself from the get-go?
For sure, yeah. So I think I was into NBA, NFL, and then I realized everybody was doing that. Yeah. And I was like, I played video games my whole life. I watch esports all the time. Let's do esports. So kind of started getting into it. And let's just take CS2, for example, because there's so many different esports. You kind of research them in different ways. So for CS2, for example, there's, I guess, the biggest site, HLTV. Just go on there, pretty much looking at historical data for a player. You want to look at game odds, because that's definitely correlates to, if a player is going to go over, it makes more sense if they are favored to win rather than if they are heavy underdogs, because not going to get the chance, not many rounds for them to get the kills they need to go over. That's one of the main things, as well as just making my own projections. So watching these games, there's different variables you can take into account of like kills per round, for example. Like for esports in general, the main, I guess, stat you bet on is kills. So kills per round for esports. You can also look at these odds on different sites and see the projected, kills per rounds. It's a pretty easy calculation there. I do a little more in depth with my projections, but just for a base one, that's perfect. But it's kind of hard to research on these sites, especially for people who don't understand esports in the first place. If they just know traditional sports, like NFL, NBA, they're used to maybe like a StatMuse or like an ESPN, where it's just easier to kind of understand the data. And with HLTV, it's not the easiest. And as well, like esports prop betting is very new to the United States. I mean, it just started with Prize Picks and Underdog. Overseas, it's all money lines, all that stuff. So
it's team based.
Yes, it's
what do they call them? Like clubs? Or is it teams?
It's teams, yeah. Teams, or orgs, whatever. But I mean, everybody's just betting on, okay, who's favored to win?
Yeah.
Bet on the team. There's no like kills props. There's no individual player props. That's what PrizePicks brought over. So it hasn't adjusted yet, and there's no platform or stats or anything to research on it. So that's why obviously decided to create StatsEdge to let people kind of research in an easier fashion and have all the data there for them, and kind of compile it into one place.
So I think it's maybe overlooked in this conversation the fact that you started out with your brand, Krellex, and you've been building this tool, which is now being offered via your website called StatsEdge.
Correct.
And that is going to be for esports data to give people an edge that they wouldn't otherwise have because it's hard to consume the data, as you mentioned. Let's take a step back and actually look at a couple of things that I think would be interesting to think through. Do you have a sense for how many people? So you made a good point that prop betting for esports is new to the U.S. market, and it's being offered, PrizePicks, Underdog. It's starting to roll out a bit. Do you have a sense for what the adoption is? Like how many people of the, say, 40 million people that bet every week in the U.S., like what percentage of those people do you think are betting on esports?
I mean, that's a good question. I think you can almost base it off of PrizePicks probably has the biggest pool of esports people betting because they just, you have NBA, NFL during the day. Okay, guess what? People are degens. They want to keep betting. Yeah. And esports is on at night. So they look for people that actually know what they're talking about. And they have, a trending tab on PrizePicks now. You can see how many people are betting on these things. And overall, I'd say probably, I guess on PrizePicks alone, there's, 20,000 people, I guess, per individual prop that it's showing people are taking per night. So, I mean, can't do the quick math there, but it's not as big as it could be. Let's just say that because people don't understand really what they're betting on, what they're watching. And like I said, that's why I'm trying to make it easier for people too. And it also helps the sports books too because they're just going to make more money.
Yeah. Well, here's an interesting thing. So a lot of great, and this is why I do this podcast and sit down, on the CEO corners, like a lot of the best founders in history have had to sort of explain their way into a new market and actually create a lot of the market themselves. Some people have just kind of entered existing, very well-defined markets. Like you could argue Steve Jobs with the iPhone. It's like the smartphone market was pretty well-defined to a large extent, but he also helped create it and drove a lot of the adoption and use of smartphones. So kind of cuts both ways. But for you, as you think about the esports market and you think about StatsEdge, do you think this is more a dynamic where you're going to have to do a lot of work educating people on why there's value in esports and value in, if you're already betting overnight and keeping the train going, versus dipping your toes into a market that's already pretty well established with people that kind of understand the value of betting on esports and listening to people and taking the data?
For sure.
Which of those do you think you're falling into the camp of as the founder of StatsEdge?
Yeah, I mean, I feel like it's an easy answer, but I would say both almost. Like the thing is with esports right now, I mean, there's so many apps you can bet on. So let's just say PrizePicks, Underdog, for example.
Yeah, well, list them out. I'm actually curious which.
Yeah, no, I think it's like PrizePicks, Underdog, Parlay Play, Hot Streak, and all these new apps are coming out. With like I think Jock Market. Oh, actually, they're down. There's a couple other ones. I won't get into them because I'm probably going to run into some that are not around.
Well, I remember I had Hydro Parlay on this podcast, and he was on, was it Monkey Knife Fight or something?
Yes.
Back in the day. Yeah. Like, that was where he got to start. But are all of those apps legal to bet on across the U.S. in any state? Or is it? I know it's legal in
any state, but it's like, whatever the legality for DFS is.
Okay.
So,
okay.
But I would say with those, so with obviously NBA, NFL, there's so many different models and money into making these very sharp lines. You're not going to see a huge discrepancy between the books.
Yep.
With esports, you're going to go on there sometimes and see like a 3-4 kill discrepancy on these different apps, which sets up a perfect place to really find your value and make money in these data sets. And that's what I've been trying to target. So yeah, I would say like I just compare PrizePicks, Underdog to each other because that's the great thing. They actually have different lines. I know a lot of these other companies come out with esports. Great, but guess what? Their lines are the exact same, so there's no value. So it really doesn't help anybody. I mean, at the end of the day. So.
Yeah. Okay, well, the mission of DubClub is help more people win more together. So what I want to get into is put yourself in the cockpit of Krellex, CEO of StatsEdge, right? and talk me through how you analyze the esports board. Give me an example and how you make a trade-off in terms of what play you want to take or what you want to let go. Like, let's talk through that a little bit and keep it high level, and then we'll get into some of the data to understand how the data can come in to inform your decision-making.
Gotcha, yeah. So, I mean, there's different factors, right? So I would say one factor is my projections that go into it. I'm going to look at my projections, see what makes sense. And then also I'm going to look at the odds for the game, see if my projections say this player is going to go over kills. I'm going to look at the odds and I'm going to see, okay, are they favored? Great, that's a good play. If they're way underdogs, probably not going to take it. It's not the best correlation with if, let's say, they get blown out, they're not going to be winning rounds, they're not going to be getting kills. Doesn't correlate very well. So I'd say from a very high level, that's kind of where I'm at with esports right now. Like I said, it is kind of game by game basis on what's going on, but just for CS2, it's probably the most popular one right now. That's kind of where I stand. And I guess,
how do you come up with those projections?
Yeah, for sure. So for CS2, there's, like I said before, kills per round. You can take that times by the actual projected rounds you're going to have for the game based on the odds of a sports book.
So it's math. It's just math.
Yeah, it's just
calculation. It's like understanding. Okay, like what have I observed, and where can I draw a correlation between certain outcomes and what goes into it?
For sure, and you can throw a little like other variables in there. Sometimes I've done that, and it's like makes it way more complicated than it needs to be.
Yeah, exactly. Like simple is often better.
Yeah. So, and that's what I've noticed as well. So that's what I've just been going to the very basic, and it's been working. So no reason to kind of switch it up.
Are you what kind of tools are you using? Like Google Sheets, Excel? Like what are you doing to build those calculations?
I'm just using Google Sheets.
Google Sheets. So you've got all your models and your projections built into Google Sheets, and then you're using that to inform basically like that's you're flying a plane and that's your cockpit. You've got your information in there.
And I was doing it all manual and
like by hand.
Yes, and
pen and paper.
No, like I guess in the sheets, And
I
wasn't like copying the code for it and being able to input everything at once. Like I was writing down everybody's name, doing it manual, and this would take me hours every single day.
Wow.
And I actually hired my brother. I think I remember telling you this.
Yeah.
That was his job. His job was to do projections, write everything manually. Yep. I wasn't smart enough to understand. Okay, I can do this.
So you delegated some of the research work to him, as we talked about the team component of being a CEO earlier. So he was doing that research part.
Yes, and I was just doing the marketing.
Yep, that makes a lot of sense.
And that's why I hired developers, and I'm like, can we automate this? Because that was literally my whole day doing projections for every single esport, putting out plays for the night, and then I was staying up all night to watch all the games, and then I was running off barely any sleep. But when things are going well, that's perfectly fine with me. I can survive off the adrenaline. Yeah. But when you have a bad day, I'm asleep for 20 hours, and I'm not looking at my phone. I'm pressing the notifications and swiping up as fast as I can so I don't see anything.
Yep.
It's
I've been on the receiving end of that, knowing when I think you're just kind of. I'm like, all right, I'll get a response from Skylar in like 3 or 4 days.
No, I mean, it's bad. I need to work on my texting skills. I'm not the best.
I think it's reasonable. I mean, I think most people have that. Like, think about when an athlete has a shit game, right? Yeah. Like, I don't think after, like, let's say Curry drops 14 points. Like, that's pretty low for him. You know? I don't think he's going to be all fired up to be responding to. Like, he'll probably be pretty upset. Yeah. And it's because we take this stuff seriously. Like, you're hard on yourself because you expect a lot of yourself, and I understand that.
Yeah.
So. Giving you some air cover for letting some messages go on.
Yeah, I appreciate it. Yeah, what frustrates me the most is like when people will go on there, and it's mostly trolls, commenting. When I have a bad day, it hurts. I'm losing, and everybody's telling me, crazy things, messaging me. Like, it genuinely hurts. I don't want to lose money. I want to help people win money. So,
that's right.
Them just commenting that, I understand the frustration. But I'm like, it doesn't help anybody because now I'm all like in my head about making picks, and it's not a good situation. So I guess I'll just put that out there that it, genuinely does affect me when I put out plays because I want everybody to win.
Yeah. And I trust me, of all people working in the line of business that I am, where I'm the CEO of a company that helps empower creators like you to distribute your advice and information to help more people win more together. It's really hard when that's not the outcome that's happening, where, people are taking your advice, but they're losing. But the reality is, and I always come back to this, and I want everyone to know this, you are winning more together with Skylar's advice, because you hear what he does. He is in there doing the research. He has models that he's built. I would challenge anyone who thinks that they have better information to make more informed bets. Just start your own DubClub. That's the whole idea.
No,
It's
for
like,
sure.
okay, you think you can do better than him, start your own online business and give the advice out, because the whole idea is like everyone needs to win more together.
Yeah.
Like don't hoard it to yourself, and if you're going to give it out, get paid for it.
No, exactly.
You know,
And
it's
people have messaged me that they're interested. I'll help teach them, learn esports. They want to go to their
Yeah.
own page. I'll retweet their stuff, help them, because at the end of the day, like I said, I want the esports world to grow. I want more people to be able to bet on it, and in turn, it just helps everybody. So that's kind of the way I see it, at least.
Yeah, and I think that's the right way to look at it. Obviously, I'm biased, but
Yeah.
I believe in what you're doing. I believe in what our partners are doing. I think it's adding a lot of value to a lot of people. I think they like to complain. I mean, people just like to complain.
Yeah.
That's the reality of it. Is like you order something on Amazon and it gets shipped to you and it's not what you expect, or it's a little bit larger than what the picture showed.
Yeah.
You're going to be pretty mad.
Yeah.
And
No,
it's
for
like,
sure.
that's just, you wanted something and it wasn't given to you, and that's just human nature. People have a
Yeah.
million things going on in their
Yeah.
life, so
No, for sure. But there's a little difference between a complaint and a death threat, though, I will say.
yes. Yeah, the death threats are a little bit over the top.
Yeah, but it's online, anonymous people, so at the end of the day, who really cares?
Yeah. Again, I think, they're pretty upset. I don't know if, speaking of angry customers, I don't know if anyone out there has seen the Haribo sugar-free gummy bears review on Amazon. Have you read that?
No, I have not.
That is hilarious. I hope my editors put that up on the screen when I talk about this. It is the funniest review. If people have like 3 or 4 minutes when listening to this, go to Google and search Haribo sugar-free gummy bears Amazon review, and if you don't laugh, message me and I'll Venmo you $10 because it is the funniest thing, and I think it'll bring joy to anyone who reads that.
What was it about? Just them not having sugar in them?
No.
Okay.
Having a very negative effect on one college student's digestive tract
Oh, okay.
while mid-exam.
Okay. Yeah.
And his writing, he or she, I think it's a guy who writes this, but it was pretty impressive the way he wrote this narrative. I was like, man, this could be like a story that's published.
Yeah.
And, selling a bunch of copies.
Could have been a little bit of chat GPT. We don't know, but
I think this was before ChatGPT.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, I think this was like a couple years ago. Like when
Okay.
ChatGPT came around 2 years ago in
Yeah,
the fall or something like
recently.
that. Yeah, it's pretty well done. So yeah, you should take a look after we
Okay,
hop off.
I
But
will.
everyone that's listening can jump in on that. Anyways, back to your process. I think it's really fascinating to kind of hear how you approach things. So you front load a lot of the research up front, building the models. That way you're able to make decisions probably like more objectively, less emotionally, almost non-emotionally, but also in a reasonably fast manner, like faster than the average person to do so with data, which is important because these lines are moving quickly and you need to get on them when you see the value. Talk to me about a little bit deeper in terms of what your brother is entering this data into this Google sheet, but as you build out StatsEdge, which it sounds like is the product that is evolving from years of manual work that you've been doing, talk to me about how you are thinking of building out that product and what you're asking of this development team, the developers that you have working with you. What are they doing for you? And if I'm your developer, what do you want me working towards?
For sure, yeah. For right now, I think we're just trying to compile all the, historical data for all these players and put it in, easy to use kind of bar graph form, so people can just go, let's say the Prize Picks board, you'll be able to see all the top hit rates, stuff like that, press into a player, and be able to kind of see all the kind of supporting stats, anything that makes sense to how we make a better bet. So I guess from an esports perspective, same thing, with sports too. We will be adding NFL and NBA very soon.
Oh, okay, cool. I didn't know that.
At the end of this month, we will be as well. But yeah, I think from that level, that's great. We're gonna have different tools. The projections as well. It's a little different than the base model. We're adding extra variables in it, and then we're doing a optimizer too. So this is able to compare from different books, which, like I said in the beginning, is very helpful because there are big discrepancies. And unless you are individually, like how I used to do it, I would open up Prize Picks and Underdog on one side of my screen, and I would just type in the name, and I would just go down the list and see if there were any differences between the lines to try to get a little bit of an edge. And I will say that's tedious when there's hundreds of props. So yes, to be able to automate it and then charge a small fee. I don't see any reason why somebody wouldn't be interested in something like that.
Yeah, I think that's very fascinating. So now I'm going to ask you sort of like the next layer of this is as the CEO of StatsEdge, you're focused on selling this product. Talk to me about how you would differentiate StatsEdge versus an Outlier or Props.cash, or I think OddsJam has some of these tools, like some of these other, DG Optimizer, like some of these products have these tools available, especially for NBA, NFL.
Yeah.
Talk to me about how your data differentiates, or how the product experience will differentiate, and why a user should subscribe to StatsEdge over one of these other solutions.
For sure. And I'll just say, a lot of great people at those places. I've met a lot of people.
Agreed.
And that's what kind of made me want to create something like this.
That's awesome. Yeah.
I originally worked with Props.cash in the beginning. They had messaged me, and great research tool for regular sports. And I guess...
what do you mean by that, regular sports?
So for regular sports, it's just they don't have esports. They have CS2, right? That's all they have.
Yeah.
And my problem was... And I was talking with them, they don't really understand esports. And we kind of partnered with them in the beginning when I had a whole other group called ATM Crew.
I remember that, that squad.
That? Yeah, so we partnered with them then. And then I was like, okay, this is interesting. I want to kind of make my own thing with this because they didn't have esports. So I will say really no other app has a ton of esports. It's mainly just main sports. So I guess that's what differs us from the other apps is we have esports, and it's something I'm passionate about, I know a lot about, and we're trying to really build on top of that and help empower bettors to make better decisions. But with esports, we're doing all the esports with all the historical data, which no other app has in the first place. We're doing esports projections, which no other app has all esports projections. Optimizer-wise, several different apps have the optimizer, but I don't think any app really has the optimizer, projections, historical data, as well as we're offering all historical data, all live upcoming historical matches for esports games. We're compiling them all into one place so people can just look at them. No other place has something like that with actually data there. It's usually just shows, who won the game. Great. There's no player stats though, because like I said, Europe has built this out to just money lines, so they don't care about player stats.
Yeah.
So that's why I was like, let's for the betting world, we need this, and that's what I've decided to build out, and it's been helpful so far. I was trying to think. I kind of forgot what I was going to say after that, but
no, I mean, I think if I'm summarizing, what you're getting at is that the secret sauce for StatsEdge in comparison to an Outlier or Props.cash is your domain expertise and knowledge in esports, and therefore your ability to provide more, I like to use the word longitudinal data, which is, end to end essentially, for both historical and projected. That way a better, an end user can get their hands on whatever they need to make more informed decisions and do it themselves. I mean, that's the difference here between, you're kind of straddling the line of a capper and a data provider. And it's interesting because they're different, right? Like a capper is kind of do it for me. It's like, hey, explain to me what I should do, and I'll sort of use that as an input, or I'll just take it blindly. Yeah. Versus here's some data and information that I can take from your website that allows me to make a decision on my own.
For sure.
Those are two different things, and it sounds like you're differentiating from some of these other products by honing in deeply on esports and attacking that market.
For sure.
Is that right?
Yeah, no, that's exactly right. That's what I wanted to start with first, because if I just created another Props.cash or Outlier, they're better. They're better. They have the funding. They already have everything. So starting with esports makes me different, and as well as I have the domain there, like you said. I know what's going on, so that's why I decided to make it. And I guess I forgot to mention too, all historical, all live, all data like that, it's all gonna be free. So, and we'll never charge for anything like that. The only thing that's gonna be, I guess a subscription will be like projections. You can do the optimizer, and we will have kind of paid, I guess AI picks that's automatically gonna be generated in the future. But yeah, for now, which definitely differs from a lot of other companies. All these companies, their base, how they make money, like Props.cash, Outlier, historical data, they sell it. But that's why I'm trying to make it available for everybody for free, because it's
awesome.
It's very easy. It's expensive data for me, but if you can drive a bunch of people over and people are paying for the subscription, why not offer this to everybody for free as well? Who just wants to do simple research, because at the end of the day, it's not the I guess most accurate tool to make bets just looking at historical data. You need to dive in and look at, okay, what's the projection? Okay, what are the odds for the game? Okay, let's dive into it deeper. From a base level, you can look at historical last 10, whatever. But yeah, for when you become more advanced, better, you need to dive into these paid subscriptions. That's where we're going to get more edge. So
I got some business questions for you related to this. This is going to be fun. So let's put ourselves in the shoes of, we're in the Bay Area. We're actually right near what's called South Park Commons, which is where a lot of like the more established venture capital firms are located in the Bay Area. A lot of them have an office up here. Let's put ourselves in the shoes of me, investor, venture capitalist, you, founder, StatsEdge, coming to pitch for funding. And I'm going to ask you a number of questions as like we're doing a mock investor pitch. And this is you don't have to pitch me anything. It's just you'll answer my questions and explain to me why I should possibly invest in your company. So as you're getting into the product behind StatsEdge and the fact that you guys will provide historical data for free and you're going to be charging a subscription, what I am understanding, or what I want to understand better, is why some of these other companies, like a Props.cash or an Outlier, just take those two for example, why would they not be able to do the exact same thing?
I mean, for sure. I mean, the thing is, let's just take Props.cash, for example. Their whole model is just based off of historical data. So if they went free, I mean, they're not going to make any money. The thing that I wanted to do with StatsEdge is just being able to offer, something for free to help people, to drive them, to the door, and then to, sell them to the more advanced bettors, actual tools and subscriptions. I mean, with Outlier, it's the exact same thing. These tools, their money is made on historical data, which is good, like I said, for novice bettors. But once you actually keep getting into it and you want to make money, I mean, you're going to have to look into these paid tools or, do the research yourself.
Okay, that's good to know. So you're operating under what's called a freemium model, where you bring people in for free and you essentially upsell them to higher priced. Well, not even higher price, just a revenue-generating product. What value proposition does that product have? How are you, and this is part of getting into how are you going to market it and sell it. How would you input the description of that product on your DubClub page as an example? So that people would know what it
And are you talking
entails.
about just the historical data or also the paid subscription?
The paid subscription only.
Paid subscription only.
Yeah. Like the thing that you are going to charge for, how would you describe it to people?
For sure. I mean, like I said, bunch of different products. So we can go with projections first. I mean, these are, projections I have made over time, over the past 3 years, me betting on esports, and it's definitely, evolved. So I would just say, evolved projections that I've used, and, I would give a hit rate percentage of over the past, 1,000 plays, something like that, to give a good example of, what it's capable of, and how many units I'm up and stuff like that. For the optimizer, I mean, it's pretty simple with that as well. It's just you're comparing lines across different books and trying to find the best value. I guess the same thing with esports too. You can kind of middle these. So if you wanted to take, an over here and under here, it's a perfect spot to do it. Like I said, with underdog prize picks, there's definitely different variables, at higher prop count, and that I would totally do. So I guess from that standpoint, with those different tools, that's kind of how I'd do it. I mean, I'd probably write it a little better, but from a base standpoint,
it makes sense. I think I'm going to digest it and then play it back to you, and then you can repeat whatever I might be missing, or if you want to summarize it,
for sure,
based off of this diagnosis. What it sounds like is there's two main product offerings, among others, but like the two flagship ones that you'll be charging for the value propositions is one, projection. So taking what you have made personally, the models that you've built that have allowed you to become a profitable bettor, you're going to essentially offer the outputs of those models and the projected over-under of a certain number of kills for, I'm out of my element here talking about esports, but you have to fill this in, right? Like you'll offer those projections so I can look quickly and be like, oh, like he's 95% confident on this overhitting, something like that. You guys would package it up in a way that like makes it super easy for me to be like, oh, I trust that. Basically, it's like a play. It's like I am kind of I'm taking your advice to an extent, but your advice really is just the output of your models. That's number one. And number two, when you talk about optimizers, that is comparing lines across different books and understanding which gives you the most value. So if you have, minus 110 on one book and like minus 135, I know they probably wouldn't have that much discrepancy, but like you're like, oh, guys, take the minus 110. If I'm saying, this over will hit, take the minus 110, don't take the minus 130. Just basic stuff where it's like if you're going to put down $11, you win 10 instead of putting down 13.5 to win 10. That's more bang for your buck if you take that optimized line. And those are things where it's just for a better, you're just aggregating things for them to look at to make it way easier for them to make decisions. Is that the right way?
That's exactly right. Like I said in the beginning too, it's like I used to do this all by hand, I guess not by hand, but like individually. And I know how tedious this is. I know how long it takes. My whole day was just consumed by just inputting data. But I would pay for a tool like this. I mean, to be serious, just to automate it, to pay, a small monthly fee, it's way easier than doing it all by yourself.
Yeah. And I believe it too, because I cannot even imagine how tedious that was. And you even hired someone to do it. You hired your own blood, your brother.
No, it was not fun.
So I guess I'm kind of curious then and we're still in the, pitch world, but like for a bettor, someone that's betting regularly, why would someone not want that? Like, what are the reasons for why someone who is interested in betting on esports wouldn't possibly want to utilize this information? Like, what are their other options? Just throwing darts at a dartboard?
Yeah, I mean, the other options. I mean, they could. The main thing would just be like an optimizer, and a lot of these different sites have optimizers. You can go to one. I think what people like to see though is they like to see the historical data. I mean, and I guess the problem is a lot of these bettors are novice bettors. Everybody wants to look for historical data. They're like, okay, that's perfect. They've hit 10 of the last 10 times. It's going to hit again. Odds are telling us this. So I think from a betting perspective, that's kind of where it's looked at. So that's what.
So the novice you're saying is mostly a trend based.
Yeah, I mean, sadly.
It makes sense. It's the easiest thing to follow.
It's a good marketing tool, I will say.
It is a good marketing tool. That's right. But the fact of the matter is there are so many other variables and some simplified variables, but there are more variables than just what the historical data says.
For sure.
I heard recently, and I don't know if it's just PrizePicks that does this, but I heard recently that PrizePicks surfaces historical data at the bottom of the board. Mm-hmm. Well, actually, when you're looking at an over/under at the bottom, it shows you data on the historical performance, but sometimes it's from the previous season.
Yeah, sometimes it's been wrong for sure. With esports, there actually is no historical data. But yes.
How are you getting that then? How are your developers accessing that data?
Yeah, so I mean, we just have we made a deal with a data company that actually has deals with the game,
the leagues themselves.
Yeah, the games,
the game makers. Wow. Okay.
Which is great, and we actually just worked on a deal where we're going to be able to offer this data to every company here in the U.S. as well. So that's going to be sweet. We're going to be working with a lot of other betting companies to try to get esports out there, different variables, because that's something I've been telling all these companies. I mean, it gets very boring just betting on kills on every single app. It's like, I've done it a billion times. It's fun, whatever, but I want to, bet on something could be more of an edge, right? Because all these apps have integrated with kills. They know what's up. They've created projections or whatever.
Yeah.
I want to get into some crazy stuff. So that's what I've been trying to work on the historical data side of it.
What's like an example of something crazy that I could bet on that would be outside of the vanilla kills over-under?
I would say almost like, let's just go for League of Legends, for example, like a pentakill would be 5 kills, which 5 kills against a team. So essentially like a squad wipe as well. Yeah. Or an ace.
That's like a hat trick in soccer.
Yeah.
But you said a pentakill.
A grand slam in MLB, right? So this is like I don't know, it depends on the player, but like a 7x.
Huge payouts.
I mean, this probably not going to happen, but I think it's just something that it's fun. You can sprinkle a little here. You can also do different things for a CS, for example, it's like kills, deaths, headshots, assists. Then you can get into how many multi-kills that they have in a round. I mean, you can definitely...
Are those offered on books today? Can you bet on that?
I mean, I would say Hot Streak probably has the best esports offering, just in the sense of...
could I bet on a pentakill?
Yeah, you could on
really?
Hot Streak.
Hot Streak, okay.
So that's...
Do you think other books are going to follow suit?
I hope so. I've talked
I
to him
wouldn't
about
see why
it.
not. That's like the equivalent to me of like a parlay. It's like that's a long shot.
No, exactly. I mean, yeah. I mean, you can bet on. I mean, the thing is with these different books that are becoming, I guess, having different odds with individual props instead of just having the 2 picks equal 3x type of thing.
Right. Yeah.
We've seen Underdog adopt this. They have different payouts, so I think that's going to help a lot because you can't just offer, okay, this person's going to get a pentakill. Everybody's going to take the under because it's not going to happen. It needs to have a super high multiplier.
Yeah.
And I guess Prize Picks too with their demons and goblins too. So hopefully they adopt it. I've been trying to sell them on it a lot recently, and hopefully with this data too, we can get them working on it.
Yeah. Okay. This is all super fascinating because what I'm hearing is you're kind of on the innovative edge of the industry, right? Like Skylar has basically been betting on esports and creating this like data set of which he's built models on top of that have helped him kind of like refine what it takes to be a winning bettor in esports. And to me, it sounds like you're kind of getting bored. You're like, okay, let me release some of this to the common, bettor and monetize it with the projections and the optimizers we talked about. But then there's a whole separate part of this, which is like, how can you as a bettor start to branch into higher payout, more interesting, more fun types of plays, like the pentakill,
for sure,
and use some of the data that you've accumulated to make those as high probability as humanly possible, right? It's like all of take the models that you've built and provide a projection that is going to be way more likely than like what anyone else could come up with because you're so far ahead in terms of how you understand this market.
No, exactly. And I don't want to dive into this, I guess, too much because I don't want to release this information yet. But I mean, like what we're building with my betting app that I talked to you about, like it's going to be powered by StatsEdge, right? And we're going to have all the data available. So it's going to be
very cool.
So many different variables, like every single thing you want to bet on, we're going to have it. So that's what I'm excited about. Seeing these other books not having this, it's like maybe we want to create something that does. So
love it. Now, how is that going to work with DubClub?
For sure. Like I guess you're talking about me doing different things like StatsEdge, this app.
The StatsEdge website and DubClub, how are you thinking about that integration? And this is more like I kind of know the answer, but just for you to talk through with the audience and have them understand, like how are we working together? Like why are you on this podcast? How does that make sense?
That's probably a good question. So I mean, for the first place, you can sign up for the website, great. But then once you want to pay for a subscription, like the tools we're going to have, it's going to be integrated into DubClub so that it's all, I guess, seamlessly processed through there and just bringing in a bunch more customers as well on both sides, which is great. But yeah, I think it's going to be pretty easy. You can use the DubClub app to be able to get plays too, because we're going to be offering picks. So I think it'll be pretty seamless.
Yeah, I agree. I mean, to summarize, it's essentially there's 2 front doors now for people to find StatsEdge and subscribe to it. There's the StatsEdge website when this integration is complete, which should be soon.
Yes.
The StatsEdge website, so I go to statsedge.com and I can purchase a subscription. That's powered by DubClub. And the reason why that's powered by DubClub is because through not only the back-end integration, but also generally the content delivery system we've built, we're able to offer Skylar access to the DubClub network at the same time. So there's 2 front doors. One through the DubClub network where people can find and discover his products for StatsEdge. Someone that's interested in esports can find you in the DubClub marketplace. Or if they're finding you on social media and you're driving them to your StatsEdge website, they're then able to subscribe on StatsEdge. And either way they come in, they're going to end up in the same place because the product is delivered in the form of projections, optimizer, things that you've kind of built the interface for on your website. So we're just the layer to authenticate, make sure that Jane Doe, when she comes in the door, is actually paying for your product. And once we can confirm that, we show them the parts of your website that you want to expose to them.
For sure.
And we need to wrap up that integration soon. But we have other, other products using that. Like if you look up Zeus Analytics, they've got, DubClub operating their authentication system. And
we're going to be integrating soon. It's just a huge update right now, like UI update, which is going to be, I'm so excited about because it's going to make researching 1,000 times easier.
Yeah.
Being able to like filter everything, highest hit rates, projection wise, it's just going to make this site look a lot better. And then as
Good.
well, we're adding NFL, NBA, like I said,
Yep.
very soon. And then that's when the DubClub integration is going to happen at the same time. So it's going to be perfect. And the site's been doing amazing too. You know, it's we're just in beta right now, and you know we have. The first month we had 21,000 active users, and then also 8,000
awesome.
people signed up too. So
amazing.
This is the first one, and it's only me
signed up for which part of it?
Just signed up for the free. So we don't have any paid tools yet.
Right, but when they sign up, they like register as a signed up member.
Yeah, register as a signed up member.
What do they get?
Just I mean, we've kind of put it behind. Being able to access historical data, like the actual
they need to register
tools.
as a user.
Yes,
that's right.
As a user,
that's great. Good job.
Yeah.
That's like you've created the funnel. So I get to your website. In order for me to see the first layer of valuable information, I need to give you something.
Yeah.
I need to give you my email.
For sure.
Therefore, you now have my contact info, which is huge for you.
I'm super excited about it because, like I said, it's just been me promoting it, and I've kind of barely been promoting it, and the results so far are great. So I can't imagine.
That's incredible, Skylar. So 8,000 people have already signed up.
Yeah. So I'm excited when we actually start working with other, cappers and people who are interested in this tool. And driving them there. So it's
love it.
It's been fun. It's exciting. It's a crazy ride. I know I've told you a lot about the beginning story.
Yes.
But yeah, I'm excited for.
It only gets better.
Yes, well, I hope so, because the beginning part wasn't too good.
Yeah. There was a bad experience in there. I don't know how much you're willing to share, but
I would just say like. Didn't really know who to trust in the beginning, I guess, with engineer-wise, and definitely got ripped off. So a bunch of people know. I've talked about it. And I will say, kind of transitioning to a different topic here, but I was just going to go into I've been doing, I guess I've only done 2 live streams recently, but just going over the board, kind of telling people how I research, kind of giving them the in of how I do my process. People,
it's awesome.
And it's been going great. People love it. Because before, I can write it out and people can, take it for what it is. But I think actually being on there, answering these questions and doing it over, hour, 2 hours is actually helping a lot of people. So that's been great. I would say if you haven't, I guess, if you have a big platform on Twitter, X, whatever, do live streams on there because you bring a lot of people in. Now, I don't understand.
Bring a lot of people into the live stream or
a lot of people in the live stream.
Yeah, okay.
I guess I don't really understand.
Why do you think that is?
I don't know. I generally don't understand okay, so I had a stream and it had 7,000 people in it.
Yeah.
What is that? Is that 7,000 people totally joined, 7,000 people live?
I see.
I don't necessarily
It just said you had 7,000 viewers?
Yeah, it just says 7,000 viewers. So, and I don't think that's live. I think that's probably over the course of the live stream that tuned in.
Yes.
I know it's kind of, I think Twitter needs to do a better job of putting a description to that.
Yeah, and those live streams are spaces, or is that different?
No, so it's actual live stream, so you can share your screen.
Twitter Live? Interesting.
Yeah. So
that's pretty cool.
Yeah, no, it's been nice. I would definitely say it's easier to do it on Twitter than to branch off onto
into Twitch or something.
Yeah, Twitch or YouTube because you already have the audience on Twitter. Just do it
that's
on
right.
there. People, does it make more sense to monetize on the platform? Yes, but it's gonna be way harder, which I've realized. I was doing it on Twitch, getting 100 people in there, which is still good. But then when you do it on Twitter and you see 7,000 people, you're like a little bit of a difference.
Well, that's interesting. This is getting into the marketing component of your business. Did you launch the live stream on Twitch when you were doing it on Twitch with an announcement to your Twitter audience?
Yeah.
And only 100 people joined? Wow. So it really, I guess, is that much friction. Do they need to download something when they go over to Twitch?
No, not really. They don't. They can just press a link. It'll bring them to Safari, whatever, on Twitch, and then they can look at it. And most people, I would say most people that are betting on esports anyways, so my audience, they have Twitch because that's how you watch esports in the first place.
Yeah.
I don't know. I think people are on Twitter anyway, so they can just press into it and just...
Yeah, it's just easy. One click, listen to what Skylar's talking about.
Yeah. I could say, hey, we're giving away $1,000 and going over plays right now. More people would show up, right? But I don't know. I'm going to work on the marketing side and see what I can do. But for right now, I've noticed that Twitter does well. Now, if I'm actually driving people from that Twitter stream to another product, definitely, I would say Twitch is better, which is strange. because the number discrepancy doesn't really make sense.
Yeah.
So
yeah,
I know it's
like the conversion from Twitch to say your DubClub is
Yeah.
higher than from Twitter to your DubClub.
Exactly. Well, like Twitter Live from
Twitter Live, yeah.
yes.
Well,
Twitter
I think
is way better.
that might tell you something. Like the users that join your Twitter Live are there to consume the information, but may not necessarily be there to pay
True.
yet, right? But that's why you need to keep educating and trying to drive that funnel and increase the conversion. And that's really the hard thing for you as a creator, which you're not only the chief product officer, but you're also chief marketing officer of your business and the chief executive officer overseeing everything. And like you have to figure out and think through how can you create awareness, but also drive conversion. Those two things are different.
For sure. Yeah. I think something I love and that I think I've been good at, obviously building your own brand, is just social media marketing. Like I actually love marketing. It's something I find fun. You know, I'll try to make viral tweets, which I've had a couple of good ones recently.
Yeah. Is there anything that you found in common with some of these viral tweets? Like what's causing them to go viral?
Yeah. I mean, usually the viral tweets I do are like sports betting memes, right? Still trying to, and then you can kind of promote your whatever below it.
Yeah. Are they funny?
Yeah, I would say they're funny tweets. I think they're just things that...
I like how you confidently say they're funny.
That's I mean, they make me laugh. I mean, they're good. So that's why I put them up there. But it's just like something, I guess, when you want it to go viral, you want people to like it without even realizing that you're asking for a like in a way. You know what I mean? Like, you're driving them to interact with your tweet without, I guess, asking for interactions. Because
you're really just trying to... You're entertaining them at the end of the day.
No, for sure.
Entertain.
I mean, with the way to grow on Twitter, you need your followers to interact with the tweet. And then obviously those followers, it's going to go to more followers, and then that in turn just helps you in general. So if you send a tweet and it just bombs, it's no other. I guess it's a better way of saying it is you tweet out, your 100 people of your followers see it, they don't interact with it, it's not going to send out to any other followers really. I guess that's just the way Twitter works with interactions. What I've noticed. So you want people to interact with it quickly, and then it'll just kind of snowball effect.
Yeah, I think that's a very interesting point actually from a marketing tactic standpoint is you get something on someone's feed or a group of people's feed, your followers' feed, and you try to make it so that they'll interact with it. It doesn't just sit there. Like you want to make it interactable in a way that is not like awkward. Yeah. Because part of it is if it's something where you're asking for an interaction, but no one interacts with it, it's like even that much more awkward for someone to interact with. Yeah, for you and for the other users. Like if I saw that and no one was interacting, I'd be like, I'm skipping past this. But once I see like 25, 30, 100, I'm jumping in on it, right? And then that's when the snowball effect hits. Yeah, it's like you're more inclined. It's like you're more inclined to watch a video if it has 1 million views compared to 1,000, right? That's right. It's just something, I guess, that it's in our brain that we just see the number like, okay, it's probably a better video, but in turn, the 1,000 could be way better production, right? That's right. Here's the perfect analogy in my head is you're in a new place looking for a place to eat dinner. Mm-hmm. Let's say you're traveling in Italy, right? And this has actually happened to me. And you're looking for a place to eat dinner. Yeah. That the restaurants around are the various posts on your Twitter feed. That's the analogy. You see a bunch of empty restaurants. Are you going to eat there? Or are you going to go to the restaurant that has a bunch of people and has a spot open? Yeah, I mean, you're going to go to where there's a bunch of people and there's a spot open. Exactly. It's probably the best one. Bingo. And so that's why I think a lot of users on social media just see that. And that's why the power can accrue so quickly to folks that know how to work the algorithm. Yeah, and I guess you could kind of correlate that to, I guess, posting plays in general too, because, I mean, you'll see people that have 1,000 likes, and, it keeps getting more likes, more people tail it, and then this could be the worst better ever, right? And then there's, somebody else who has 1 like, but he's, cranking out 25 X's on prize picks. It's like, marketing is a really, really big part of actually growing. That's where DubClub obviously does a good job as well. Yep. There's more coming too, by the way. Yeah. We'll talk about it after. I'll actually have you sit down with one of our engineers here in the Bay Area and go through why it's going to be so valuable for your business from a marketing and awareness standpoint to be delivering your content on DubClub. That way, our systems can pick it up and do some interesting things with it. Because what Twitter is not built for is reading what people are posting on gambling Twitter and figuring out like who's got the great 25Xers. Yeah. Like Twitter doesn't give a rat's, butt about that. Yeah. Like they are focused on what content in general is getting engagement. And sometimes it's the kind of like not great content,
Yeah.
but people are jumping in on it because it's fun and someone's sitting on their couch somewhere like pressing buttons,
For
liking
sure.
the content.
And you have the bots too that create profiles like exactly
That's
like,
right.
and they're doing hashtag gambling Twitter, and it just clogs the feed. You don't
Clogs the feed.
So I would
Catches the algorithm, it clogs the dang
Yeah,
feed.
because I'll try to look up hashtag gambling Twitter, see what's going on there. It's just all bots, and I'm like, okay, where's the actual place?
That's right. I've seen that before. A lot of our partners have, the folks that work with us have figured out a lot, through our partner success managers, to figure out how to like catch the algorithm. And we're branching into new socials now. Like Threads is an interesting one.
Yeah.
If you haven't checked out Threads, Instagram Threads,
I've
you should check out. Try to start building a bit of a presence on Instagram. That's some of the things about marketing that our partners always think about. Is there's delineations of space on the internet that you can implant an impression on someone's brain.
For sure.
Like not just Twitter. Twitter is one universe, and Twitter I think has maybe, I don't know if I'll get this wrong, I think it's like 100 million monthly active users that are talking about gambling. So it's pretty robust. But there's like Instagram has billions of users, and even Discord is like close to 1 billion. Telegram is close to 1 billion.
Yeah.
There's other avenues. TikTok. Oh my goodness.
TikTok. Yeah, that's what I was gonna say.
Yeah.
I feel like Telegram is more of a kind of European-based audience. I mean, I personally haven't dove into it a whole lot because we use Discord, whatever. But yeah.
Telegram has this functionality, and I'm comfortable sharing this because I don't really think it's a competitor of DubClub in a sense, because they are like strictly messaging, and they allow some creators to monetize, but it's not a creator monetization tool. Yeah. They just can monetize what's called broadcasts.
Yeah, like Discord too, you can monetize, but it doesn't make it the best product.
That's right. It's not really meant for that, and it's so horizontally applicable, like across industries, that it's actually kind of tough for someone that's trying to build a specific business, like premium sports content and sports betting consulting. That it's not really a place to go.
Exactly.
Plus, it's sort of like a closed ecosystem. Like you have your Telegram chat, you have to funnel people in. You're doing all the work, and you're still getting charged to process transactions. But anyways, like Telegram's an interesting avenue for you because you could that's where you could distribute your free plays. That's really what social media is for at the end of the day, right? It's an avenue for you to put out non-paywalled content to generate more eyeballs and therefore hopefully get people to pay you in the end for something, right? For either signing up as an affiliate to a sportsbook you're working with or literally just paying for your premium services.
Yeah. I will say social media is crazy what it's done. I guess for me individually too, being able to create an audience, being able to monetize the audience. Definitely maybe something your parents would understand, how is this possible? So it's pretty cool.
Yeah. Speaking of which, you're actually traveling out here with your dad, who I learned is an Air Force pilot. Really, really cool guy. I talked to him for, only 5-10 minutes. I was like, man, yeah, you got a good dad. It's really cool.
I appreciate it. Yeah. No, it's been a fun trip. We've traveled around here and ate some really good food. Went to Little Italy.
Yes, over on Columbus Street.
Yeah, honestly.
North Beach.
Yeah, no, and we just had was it 4 Square Pizza or something like that? 4 Guys Pizza.
Oh, Square Pie Guys.
Square Pie Guys, that's what it is.
Heck yeah, big amazing advertisement. That is one of my favorite places to go. Square Pie Guys in San Francisco. Oh my gosh, thank me later. I get the Big Von.
Big Von, okay.
Yeah.
I got, I don't even remember what it was called. It was called something like the Gaddy or something. It was white sauce and barbecue chicken.
Oh, yeah. That one's good. Yeah.
Yeah, no, it was amazing. So, I love food. This is a great place for me. Oklahoma, I'll be honest, I pretty much just eat Domino's every day.
I like Domino's. Domino's
it's like researching, go to Domino's, get pizza, come back. Here it's good to actually try some different food.
Yeah, I'm glad you went to Square Pie Guys. That makes me super, super happy. My girlfriend and I are huge Square Pie Guys fans because we lived in the city I lived here for 4 years. She moved in with me for 2. And then I went down to business school down in Palo Alto at Stanford for 2 years. And while we were in business school, we were we didn't realize there was a Square Pie Guys nearby. I think it opened fairly recently. Yeah. But we would drive up to San Francisco, which is an hour drive, just to get Square Pie Guys.
Jeez.
Yeah, in the midst of I was running a company, I was starting DubClub, and I was in business school classes and trying to hang out with friends.
Yeah,
we'd still make the time to go get Square Pie. That's how good it is.
No, I'll be
it's
honest.
That much.
I'll be honest. It is good. I was kind of blown away. I was glad we went.
Yeah,
I had a pretty good discount there too. So I was Even better.
Yeah, that's incredible. So I asked about your dad because you
Yeah.
mentioned the concept of like, our parents, they don't really understand like how powerful it is to utilize social media today to build a business and have that be the place that serves really as the top of funnel for a lot of the way that you can monetize.
Sure.
How's your dad learned about your business? I know he was talking a bit about where you've come from and where you're at now, but how does he fold in, and does he understand what you're doing? How do you explain it to
For
him
sure.
and keep
No,
him up to date?
yeah, I mean, we love sports. He doesn't really understand esports a whole lot, but I mean, he could tell you probably any NFL player, he's getting an NBA, but, we love sports. We're watching it,
Yep.
since I was born. And so it's easy to kind of understand that. We've been recently making some bets too, and on these
Nice.
apps. And the sad part is he's been hitting longer parlays than me recently.
Wow, you got to get him contributing to your premium,
I know.
premium
I'm like,
service.
he might need to set up his own DubClub. I might have to,
Yeah.
to sell him on that. But I mean,
Yeah.
genuinely, he's been hitting some big ones.
How do you think he's doing that? What is it? Just from learning from
It's
you,
a
or
watch. It's just a watch. He
watching a
watches-
lot of sports?
I mean, he watches every single NFL game. That's probably
That's a
why.
big deal. I mean, that is like pattern recognition.
Yeah.
He has probably got a machine in
Yeah.
his head.
And
Like,
it's the
honed
same way
in.
with me for the esports too. People
right.
don't understand. Like, I don't sleep. I'm staying up all night. These games are like 1, 2 a.m. I'm watching
Yeah.
every single game. If I bet on a player, I'm staying up and watching it, which is a little bit degenerate, I will say, but it's also something that's fun. I like watching these games. That's why I bet on it.
Yeah.
Obviously, it's to make money, but it's also fun. I genuinely enjoy esports, and diving into the research, helping people learn about it, and like I said, I'm staying up watching all these games, and if it goes bad, I'm going to bed, and that's why I'm usually asleep for like 12 hours because I'm like I didn't sleep, and it's when you just don't respond to anybody on Twitter. I
Yeah,
try to
that's
leave
when you're
that
getting
alone.
your catch up time.
Yeah.
So that's interesting. You it sounds like you and your dad are similar in the fact that you guys both obsessively watch almost every game, especially the ones that you're betting on. How does that scale?
That's a good question.
And I'm coming back into the venture capital conversation. Is like, Skylar, explain to me, if you're the CEO of this company and you're watching every single game
Yeah.
and staying up at night, like, how can I trust that you are going to take care of yourself while also investing in what needs to be invested in with the product, which is doing the research and watching the games?
For sure. And I think it's something we had talked about before too, but it's just like, also it's a thing of like, I feel like if I watch the game, players are going to do better. They're going to do what I want them to do. Right.
Interesting. It's like you're manifesting.
Yeah. It's like something a little bit like that.
Are you, it's not supernatural, but do you believe in, like, are you superstitious at all?
Maybe in a way. Maybe it depends. It depends which player, honestly. Like, there's some players that I have to watch them.
Yeah,
I
you
swear
have
if
a
I
unique
don't,
connection with them. Yeah.
like the worst thing is waking up and the slip's red.
Yeah. What's an example? A couple examples of those players that you just feel like, okay, like I feel this connection where I'll stay up and watch them.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, in recent time, I'll just say a team in general.
Yeah, team in general.
There's a CS2 team called Aurora. I swear, anytime I bet on them, they do the exact opposite what I want them to do. And even if I stay up and watch them too, which is the bad part. So I've kind of stopped betting on them. I'm like, I'm done with you guys. Because, I mean, with esports, honestly, there is some like teams like throwing games for money. And I guess we can talk about like, this goes back to CS2, 2014. There was a CSGO team called iBuyPower, which is obviously a computer brand too, but they were heavy favorites in the game. And there's a big, CSGO skin gambling. Like inside CSGO itself, there's skins in the game that you can buy for insane amount of money. I mean, I was just telling my friend, there was a knife sold in the game recently. This is for real money. It was for $1.5 million. So it's like, that's what keeps CSGO alive, is the gambling aspect of it.
Yeah.
And that's honestly where I started too. Maybe we can talk about that, is CSGO skin gambling in general. But anyways, they bet a ton of like $10,000, $20,000 and on themselves to lose and just threw the game. And they all ended up getting banned permanently for playing professional esports. But that's been happening a lot.
How did they get caught?
They realized that they put money on the site. Like they put all those skins on the site to gamble with, and that's how they got caught. But yeah, it's terrible for the scene because the thing is, the only thing that's going to help esports grow is there's integrity in the
Yeah,
game.
exactly. It's like any other sport.
Yeah, so that's why there's like different tiers for esports. You know, like tier 1, you're not going to throw because these prize pools they're going up for are $1 million, multi-million dollar pools. So they're not going to sell and they're not going to like lose integrity for all that money, right? Because they're not going to be able to bet that much money in the first place. So, but when you dive into like tier 2, tier 3, which I would consider like AAA, for MLB or something like that. There's a lot of weird stuff going on.
That makes sense. Basically, the calculation that someone is doing whether or not they want to throw a game is, can I make more from betting on this than I could from winning this tournament?
Which is sad, and that's what
I didn't realize that's what we were dealing with in esports. But that's actually really valuable information to have, because it's like, okay, there are certain spots that are okay, and then certain that you are like, I don't really know if I want to.
For sure. No, I mean, there's certain teams that do this a lot, and even with esports too, you have to worry about, like, there's been hackers, like people using cheats in video games that get caught mid-game, and it's like, there was this main person I used to bet on all the time. His name was Joel, and he would always go over his line, like soar over his line, and they kept setting it higher and higher, and he kept going off. So I was kept betting on him. Why not? Then the next game he got banned mid-game for cheating. He was wall hacking. He could see everybody, and it's like these things I'm betting on big, and someone gets banned like that. It's insane.
So you were betting on someone that was cheating.
Yeah,
and you didn't know it.
I didn't know.
No, I know, but like, that's interesting. Then those books that.
They don't know it obviously either.
I know. So I guess it
everybody.
is. Well, but it screws everybody. But at the same time, like if the market maker doesn't know, which is the book, like Prize Picks, and you don't know, well, then it's okay. Like, I mean, it's okay that he's cheating, but it's like, all right, everyone kind of gets theirs because the books are setting the lines, like using the same data that you are. It's just you guys are basically competing.
When somebody goes from like he was an above average player, but then to like the best player, like you've seen in recent time. Something going on, you don't, I guess, jump that big in esports specifically. So I don't know, just a funny example of kind of what goes on in the esports world. I guess you could correlate that to, I guess, a sports player being on, performance enhancing drugs.
Yes.
Which I
learned recently is pretty common.
Yeah.
Surprisingly common. Like the ones that are there's a lot of performance enhancing stuff that is taken that isn't really tested for.
Yeah. Yeah, I think it's
the fact of the matter.
Yeah, I mean, it's definitely prominent in sports too, but for esports, it's just funny because it's not like drugs you're putting in your body. I mean, there was actually another thing busted. A whole team was taking Adderall, which was banned, but it was just so they could, focus better and everything, and not allowed, but.
I mean, if it's prescription, I feel like that's not fair to ban.
No, but it was the whole team. They were it wasn't prescription,
The whole team had a prescription.
They were doing interviews after the game, and they were like crazy, like
locked in, just crazy eyes. All right, I get that.
It was actually pretty funny.
Well, Adderall is a different beast, but it's like, what if they all drink 5 Red Bulls, right? It's like they're probably gonna pass out. But like they like 2 Red Bulls.
Their heart doesn't explode.
Yeah, like they'll be locked in, or they drink like a cup or 2 of caffeine. I don't know. All those things are really subjective, but it's interesting that you're with your dad's profession in esports, because I've talked to people in the past who have built esports businesses, like actually playing esports and have competed professionally, and they've related being a fighter pilot to playing esports because it's highly reactive and anticipatory. You're in a cockpit playing the game, and you have to react and sort of like preempt what people are going to do.
For sure.
So I found that, kind of an interesting, I would say, comparison to make.
It definitely is interesting. I mean, he did get me into video games in the beginning too. I remember getting the, base Xbox and PlayStation 2.
Xbox original?
Yeah.
Mid 2000s?
Yeah, we would play so many games, and, getting into Call of Duty, into Black Ops 2 specifically.
So you and your dad would play video games with your brothers too?
My brother, my older brother. That's kind of how we got. I mean, that's how I kind of fell in love with video games in the first place, right? So Halo Reach 2, fun game. And it's also kind of random too. I don't know if I mentioned this to you before, but my cousin actually married a professional Call of Duty player.
No way.
So it's just interesting to know that. I mean, I know from experience, and I can talk to him and hear all these stories, and it's just interesting, where esports goes, I guess.
Yeah, that's fascinating. So how often do you hang out with this professional?
Yeah, no, I mean, I talk to him, quite a bit. He streams every day too, but
Yeah,
um,
that's really cool. I mean, what are
that's
the
cool.
odds?
Yeah, no, it's very random for, I guess, my profession I was getting into.
Yeah.
And it's also interesting. It's, I guess, a different thing too, but these players I'm betting on in esports, like I'll message them and they'll message. I'm not, messaging anything crazy.
Yeah, yeah.
I'm just, saying, good job,
Yep.
do this for me, wink. But no, it's been cool to actually get responses back from these players. I've watched for a long time, and now I'm betting
Yeah.
on it. They're so happy that I'm hitting bets, and especially like there's a specific person, but like I'll post the prop, that he hit, and like hundreds of people are commenting under it, like so thankful. And then, he's getting the praise for it though too. So it's cool. I think they like it in a way, but obviously they don't like when people are losing and then sending them crazy stuff. So
Yeah, it cuts both ways. But when someone cashes a play that you put out on them and everyone's hyped up, everyone wins more together in that instance.
Sure,
It's
yeah.
awesome.
No, I love tagging them because they love it too. So it's cool.
And I think so. I mean, I won't name names, but I've had former teammates of mine at Stanford who I've talked to and who are playing professionally now, and they've made comments very astutely. It's like, well, man, people are making a lot of money on me betting.
Yeah.
So, I mean, they're obviously getting paid pretty nicely, but it's like, well, if they could invest in some companies in the space, like that's a great way for them to diversify their wealth while also, betting on themselves too at the same time.
For sure.
Right?
Yeah,
it's kind of a nice duo.
I think that works well. So
Kind of a bummer though, because I think a lot of agencies or whatever aren't really allowing players to invest in something like a StatsEdge, for instance, which I don't know if you've talked, like you should try. I don't know if you talked to your cousin's husband about potentially investing in StatsEdge, that kind of thing, but like that would be great for him. He's diversifying his income into a position that is in his space where it's not fully, it's just like, I don't know, I wouldn't relate it to real estate, but most millionaires have multiple forms of passive income or wealth accruing somewhere
for sure
outside of their
it's great now because I've made so many connections in the space, especially with esports people too. So being able to have those connections, we've talked a ton about what I'm doing and kind of how it could help esports in general too. Because I mean, just to talk about esports, like I said, in general, I think the only way it grows is with betting. I mean, just how you see sports betting. I guess sports in general.
Do you think
betting's
that's
everywhere?
Do you think that's similar for most sports, like WNBA, for instance?
Sure. Yeah, I mean, what's helping WNBA is betting, and I mean, to make you watch an NFL game, you don't have to be interested in it. If you have a little bet on it, okay, I'm tuning in. Like for me, as a Chiefs fan, I like watching all games, but I'm tuning to the Chiefs no matter what. Like I'm locked in for it. But if it's another game, not really interested in it, okay, put a bet on it. Okay, I'm interested. This player better do what I bet on him to do. It's the same way with esports too. I mean, obviously you want to win money.
Yep.
So I think being able to tell more people about esports betting and actually show them where they can watch it as well. This is just going to help esports in general because the money aspect in esports is terrible. Like all these, I'm sure like all these VCs are investing in esports and making no returns. I mean, there was a big esports company, I think it was David Beckham's backed esports company, Guild Esports. They got like $15 million in investments, and they actually just sold for $100,000 recently because they made no money.
Wow.
And the company that bought them also had to take on millions of dollars of debt too. So it's like that's where esports is right now. There's really no money to be made. It's all just you flush your money down the toilet. But I think with betting, sad as it is, like I know people don't like betting, whatever. That's where the money is, and that's where we're actually going to see esports.
I think it's awesome.
No, I think it's awesome, but I
think a lot of people don't understand. It's like, why do people bet on sports? They bet because it's fun.
Yeah, exactly.
And it's an outlet. It's like going and watching a game. It's just entertainment for people. That's why people are betting.
Yeah,
and it's a way for them, instead of me throwing money down the drain and watching the game, let me throw $100 at a potential $1,000 of payout across 10 plays, and it's way more entertaining for me. It's interesting.
Exactly.
Keeps me, I think people just need to experience it to understand that you can be very disciplined. And so I wanted to sort of end the session that we're doing on this podcast episode, because we'll do another one.
Okay.
And I want to end with a question, and that is, there's roughly 40 million people in the U.S. alone, and millions, tens of millions more globally that bet on sports regularly. What advice do you have for the common bettor and someone that would want to put their money down on sports betting?
Yeah, I mean, for sports betting in general, you want to really look for these tools. You want to look for people, especially, people who have their own brands. You want to be able to see that they're actually profitable. And I see no problem with tailing their plays and picks. The problem, though, you need to actually realize is they're not going to win every bet. I think we've been over this. Everybody knows that.
Yep.
So you can't just take one play here. Okay, they missed. Okay, you don't take the next one, and then you take the next one, and then they miss again. Okay, how about you tail every single play because they're profitable long term?
Right.
That's what people need to realize, especially with betting. I get those comments all the time too. It's like, oh, I've only tailed you 3 times and you've missed every single time. Oh, but I've hit 4 times this week and missed 3. So it's just like, tail everything. That's what some people, they're posting 20 plays a day. I understand that can be hard to do, but if you're doing this to actually make money long term, especially I guess with EV betting as well, you need to take as many bets as possible. If you're just doing it for fun, you don't care about money, who cares? I guess just take whatever play you want. But if you're serious about it and you want to make money, you need to be, paying for somebody's DubClub or just intensely doing your own research to figure out the best bet for you.
Now, if I make, $5,000 a month in my job, and I want to bet on sports, talk me through how I should, in a disciplined way, approach betting.
For sure. And I guess, is this $5,000 just extra income, or do you have to pay for, everything first?
That's the thing.
Yeah.
So let's say $5,000, and then after living expenses and call it, food and whatever. Let's say I have $3,000.
$3,000
right? $3,000 of disposable monthly income after all of my fixed costs as a human being.
Yeah.
And that $3,000 I can invest in multiple ways. I can spend it in multiple ways. I can shop online. I can do whatever I want.
Sure.
But I want to bet on sports.
Yeah.
How would you talk me through how to properly allocate that $3,000? Would I put it all towards betting? Would I do it all at once? Like, really educate me on how I would approach this.
For sure, yeah. I would say with a bigger bankroll, it's easier to make more money just because the, volume of bets you're going to have to make. I would definitely go with the 1% bankroll rule as a unit. So you have $3,000, you use $30 a unit.
Would you advise me to use that full $3,000 of remaining income as my bankroll, or how would you?
It depends what type of bettor you are. Like, if you're going to go the data proven way, and I would say like a excuse me, sorry, I've been needing to cough for a while. If you go for like the plus EV side, if you go for things that are proven over long term, you're gonna be profitable. Sure, you can use the 3,000. The thing is, let's say you could lose your first 10 bets in a row.
Yep.
But long term, you will be profitable. As someone, if you're just like telling people, I'd tell you to put $2,000 in savings and use the 1,000 and then put your units as $10, right?
Yep.
And sadly, I know this is a little bit different subject, but I think a lot of people, what they're dealing with is they barely have any money, disposable income.
Yep.
And they're just betting what they can to make rent money or something.
That's right.
Which we see a lot, sadly, and I get it under comments, which is terrible. Please do not bet any money you can't lose. I think
that's why I wanted
common.
to do this with generic numbers.
Yeah.
Because if I have $100, I can't pay rent with $100. I need to pay rent with, like, my rent's $1,500 or whatever. Yeah. I have $100. I am thinking, well, okay, I can turn that 100 into 1,500 with a long shot.
Yeah.
25x. Or the other option is I take that 100 and I have to be more disciplined with it. And I can turn that 100 into, I could use 5% of my bankroll, which is each bet is then $5 a piece.
For sure.
And if I'm placing a lot of bets, that means I'd have to lose 20 times in a row to lose that $100 versus putting that 100 on a 25x, which the probability is super, super low of hitting.
Correct. Yeah.
Those are two of the potential avenues, but that's kind of what I'm getting at with
For sure. Okay. Gotcha.
when you're explaining it really well. It's just the concept of you only have a fixed amount of money. And I think people need to recognize that to start is like you only have a certain amount of money that you start with as the pool that you're dipping into to bet on sports. And then from there, you take someone else's advice on how much of that you allocate and to where you allocate it.
For sure.
And that will immediately help people stop losing more.
Yes.
And by default, the opposite of losing more is winning more, right? And winning more together with you.
Yeah, no, that's perfect. I guess I'll say also too, I've seen people like not using the unit strategy. You know, they're just, okay, I have $100 in my bankroll. Let's put a $100 bet out. Yeah. Okay, I lost it. I don't have any more money. Okay, let me pull out my credit card and go into debt. Seen it too many times, and people will comment under like, I'm putting my whole, rent check on this. You know, you better not fail me. Okay, why are you putting so much pressure on me? You know, it's not my problem.
Yep.
Obviously, I want it to hit, but it's like just silly stuff like that. You need to be disciplined as a bettor, especially if you want to make money. I think though novice bettors don't necessarily know what's going on. They think everything's going to hit. They don't maybe understand units, but it definitely needs to be, I guess, publicized more of what these things are, actual strategies you can make money, disciplined ways to bet.
That's right.
Because there's a lot of silly stuff on the internet of people winning, especially people winning, I'll say big bets, maybe that aren't real as well. I don't know. There's a lot of stuff we could dive into, but I don't want to get into it yet.
I think the summary is that whenever there's an opportunity to make money, especially online, people can get roped into the wrong thing really quickly, which is sad.
I mean, it's terrible. I mean, it's something happened recently too, just like with older people. It's very easy to be naive and fall into traps. And it's the same way with sports betting too. You can see somebody, they post all these big wins, not profitable though, and it's just silly stuff. Ideal. But that's why, obviously, join up to a DubClub, follow somebody you trust over a long period of time. And
and that is the beauty of DubClub, is that every creator that we onboard has been vetted by us, and we monitor. Like, it's not like we're watching what you guys are doing. Like, you have to post this many times. It's more like we have an idea of what product you're delivering to people. Like, we know what the quality is. It's kind of like how Amazon can tell you when something's a 1-star quality versus like a 4.7 star. You clearly know. We just haven't released some of that information yet, but we will soon, right? Like, that's part of the idea, is like making sure that people know, okay, well, StatsEdge versus like something else is just sort of like the quality of the experience I'll get. But at the end of the day, like the quality bar for anyone who can provide content on DubClub is very high. Yeah. And then once it's that high, now we're just delineating specifics, right? Like, what do you provide? You provide esports data and content, and here's the generic, performance of that content product over time. Give people an idea. For sure. But I do think that's like a problem in this industry, and we're really trying to help. I'm glad you're tackling it as well. I think it's a lot of education that needs to happen, but also for us, it's making sure that we're making you guys more money on DubClub than anywhere else, and it's catch-22 because we don't want to be duping people at the same time. There's no way we're going to try to lie to people.
I also think what sucks with I don't know if it's a bad thing or a good thing, but with sports betting, the churn rate is very high as well. Like, you see new bettors come in so often, they leave so often because they run out of money. And the thing is, they're going to people they don't understand, they don't know.
They don't know. I
even talked
trust.
to a professional NFL player about this recently. They're like, I went onto a better site. I tailed their plays, they didn't hit, they suck. I'm going to start my own thing because I hit way better than them. I'm like, I don't know. I feel like taking one play doesn't hit and automatically saying they're the worst ever, not very accurate. Let's take it over a long period of time. Let's see how this player does. I think that's the way the public sees like cappers as well, which sucks in my position. If I have a bad day,
that's right.
Worst capper ever. But
the recency bias is unbelievable.
It's actually terrible. So I would say definitely stick with somebody, wait it out if you trust them, and kind of see where it goes. That's just also something bettors need to understand as well, and they think they should. You're not gonna win every bet you place. So take it over time.
Same concept as like I invest in Amazon yesterday and the stock dropped today 3%. Yeah. I'm not gonna say, I hate Amazon as a stock. Yeah. It's like, no, just relax and look at the long-term trajectory.
Over time,
but that's part of the problem. Yeah, exactly. But that's part of the problem is there's not a lot of visibility for people into the history, right? And then they're going off of having to trust you, having to trust your word. So I think there's a lot of opportunity for us to kind of be some of that intermediary for
sure.
for you guys on behalf of you.
Yeah, and I know I want to talk to you about it, but there's a couple of things I think that definitely could be added to DubClub to help with transparency with everybody historically, and to also kind of give people who go to DubClub, like, okay, this person over a long period of time, they've been great. It's probably a good person to tail.
Yep.
So I think that would be great. I think it just helps people, makes them more confident. Because the thing is, I mean, you could get a free trial, great, but also sometimes as a capper, you're going to have a bad week. You're going to have a bad 2 weeks. I mean, it's terrible. And then
you have a bad month.
Yeah, no, exactly. I think what's happened with me before too, it's like I have a bad week, and then the next 3 weeks, I'm the best person in the world.
Yeah,
they're like, where were you when, I was betting with you? It's like, it's just how it goes sometimes.
Yeah.
So,
and then if being able to point to that, I wouldn't call it a roller coaster, but like the peaks and troughs where it's like this natural upward trajectory, being able to point to that would really help educate people.
For sure.
Hey, just stay with me.
Yeah.
And that's why we built the business where it's subscription based, is because the whole idea is like, if you just keep subscribing or you sign up for the year or whatever it might be, it's like you're getting a lot of value out of that.
Exactly.
Because by default, you're staying with them.
Yeah.
You're not jumping from person to person. That's like buying into, jumping from capper to capper when they're hot is like buying into, let's say, like Roblox stock when it's at its 52-week peak, and then saying, oh, well, that sold, it dropped 15%. No duh, because it's at its peak. Oh, let me jump into Cloudflare, the next hot tech stock. Oh, that one dropped too. Like, you're going to figure out after a certain point in time, you can't just go from hot to hot. That's right. You got to start. You want to buy the dip is the idea.
Exactly.
The problem is
you don't know when it's going to be.
You don't know when it's going to be, and the reality is that when your models are clicking and your projections are on, it's like you're on, right? Like you can catch fire. And so ideally the advice I would have is actually try to get, I wouldn't say get into the dip, but get in as the curve starts to tilt, right? Like once you start seeing that capper get hot, that's when you want to get in and ride it for as long as you can, and then stick with it. Like they should make you a lot of money over that streak, and there will be a cold streak, but you can't stop betting with them, because what's going to happen is you're going to miss the time that they start to tilt up again.
For sure. Yeah, I would just say you just got to hold with them. So
got to hold.
I mean,
Hold, at the AMC, GameStop, right?
Exactly.
Those people made a lot of money. People that were invested in those things. You hold and you ride AMC up to $72, then you sell, obviously.
Exactly. No, I love it.
Yeah. Awesome. Skylar, it's been a pleasure to have you on the CEO Corner.
Yep, it's been amazing being here.
We're going to hit some Monday Night Football action now, and I'll have you talk to Donnie actually about some of the interesting additions to DubClub, where we already got some stuff in the works. So I want to get your feedback. I'm excited about that. All right. We'll talk to you all soon. Thanks for joining the CEO Corner.